Hi everybody. We're going to talk about energy today. Like the sign says, how energy affects your health, both the good and the bad news of it. I'll talk about some forms of good energy, talk about some forms of bad energy. I'll talk about what we can do to mitigate its effects. But I like to start out by experiencing it, so let's do a little exercise together. If that's cool? It's always nice to know what we're talking about with energy. Actually, I think I'll stand. You guys will see me better. Yeah. Okay, for this one. I'll sit for the next one, probably. So just put your hands one over the other for me. You guys have probably seen this done. Doesn't matter, whichever way they naturally land. There's no right or wrong way to do it. And just feel for a moment. Feel the space between your hands and kind of memorize how that feels. Some of you might feel a little something, some of you might not. That's okay. That's all right. Just kind of remember what it feels like, okay? Now go ahead and relax your hands once you've got it kind of locked in. Let's take 3 breaths together. But when we breathe in, I want you to follow your breath down your spine. All right, let's do it together. Breathe in through your nose. Take your time, go slow, fill yourself up, follow it. And when you're ready, follow it back up the spine, up, 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 and out your mouth. The important thing is that your awareness move with it. Another one, breathe in. Down your spine, fill your belly, take your time. You can hold a lot, air's good for you. And breathe out when you're ready and follow it with your awareness back up your spine. And one more, 3. Take a breath in, follow it down your spine with your awareness, fill yourself up, and back up. Good, good. See, you're already feeling a little more calm, a little more settled. Now we're going to reverse it. On the inhales, breathe in from your tailbone, and as you inhale, pull the energy up your spine, okay? With your imagination. And when you exhale, you let gravity do its thing and it just naturally floats down. We'll do 3 more just like that. Ready? Pull it up your spine, up your spine, up your spine, as high as it goes, naturally. And when you're ready, let it drop down. Focus on the base of your spine and breathe in again. Pull it up, see if it goes a little bit higher this time. And as you exhale, let it drop. If you're starting to feel a little warm, it's not just you. Breathe in one more time. Pull it up your spine as high as it goes, as high as it goes. And let it drop. Good. All right, let's repeat this. See if it feels any different. Hold your hands, concentrate on the space between the hands. Does it feel stronger, tinglier, warmer, colder? Does it feel different? What I'd like you guys to do is freeze. Don't move your hands. Look down at your hands. Look over at your neighbor's hands. Did I ever say anything about making a circle or holding a ball? Why are you all curving your hands? So, before you look around and decide to say if you felt anything or not, if you're curving your hands around something, I'll stand in there. If you're curving your hands around something, you're feeling it. And see, increased energy, that's not uncommon either. That's squeaking in the speakers. So, that's energy. Now we can all agree there's a little something, yeah? Did you all feel something a second time? Stronger than the first time? Yeah, everybody's nodding. Yeah, all we did was move some breath and awareness around to clear our channels. That's all we did. The upward breath also kind of summons your energy. The downward one, when done all the way, clears your channels. The upward one starts to collect and draw your energy into you. And then you felt it. You felt the difference. So it's not, is this stuff real or not? It's, we don't spend enough time learning about it, playing with it, practicing with it. That's it. But there's nothing supernatural about it. It's not magical. It's not something that some people have and other people don't have. It's just some people practice it more. So that's where we can begin our conversation. I'm Andrei and I teach meditation, tantra, and energy work. I work with healers and psychics and help them get better at what they do. I advise everybody from celebrities to sports athletes to 3 royal families now and 2 presidential candidates. Yeah, energy, that's what I do. So let's dig in a little bit. Einstein was once asked what it's like to be the greatest mind on earth. His reply was, next time I talk to Tesla, I'll let you know. Tesla said, if you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Scientist. Well, he was kind of half mystic too, but somebody who Einstein called the greatest mind on earth said that we got to start with energy. That's the basics of all of it, of understanding all of it. So let's start by defining what energy actually is. Okay, there's 3 definitions that I've found. The strength and vitality required for sustained physical or mental activity, meaning your energy. I'm full of energy. I don't have enough energy. I'm feeling drained, right? First definition, we can agree on that. Second definition, power derived from the utilization of physical or chemical resources, especially to provide light and heat and to work machines. Okay, now we're talking about energy like what the power company supplies to us. But also kind of still relates to the first, doesn't it? If you have no energy, you're not going to be a source of light or heat for anybody. You're going to have difficulty operating machines. So they're kind of interrelated. Energy is still energy. We're talking about the same stuff. We're just coming up with different angles to explain it from. You see? It's my point. The third definition is the one that physics folks like. The property of matter and radiation, which is manifest as a capacity to perform work. Well, it kind of sounds like 1 or 2. Okay, they're kind of all related. The energy of something is its ability to do something, light something up, heat something up, move something in the form of a particle colliding with another particle, transmit information. That's a common use of energy. Okay, so we can get hung up on the words. I like this picture. You throw a pebble into a pond. That's energy, right? There's the energy, there's the force of the impact when it hits the pond. The energy starts to spread out as ripples. That energy will affect the plants on the other side of the pond, moving them back and forth. And all of that can even convey information. Imagine a frog sitting there by the plants getting moved. He's going to know something fell into the pond over there. So even information got transmitted. It's not as sophisticated as our radio signals, but same idea. So that's energy, in a nutshell. But just to put things in perspective for you guys, everything we know about the universe, planets, stars, gases, galaxies, nebulas, all that stuff out there, normal matter, that's 4% of the known universe. Just 4%. 21% is this stuff called dark matter. We call it dark because we can't see it. We don't know what it is precisely, but the universe weighs heavier than we would expect it to weigh, and we've counted all the matter in it. So there must be some matter we can't see because we can feel the weight of it. That's how the logic goes. So there's a lot of debate about dark matter right now, actually. They're rethinking it, but this is the force that basically pushes the galaxies apart. Okay, so it's got an anti-gravitational effect. It's pushing things further and further apart. We're still trying to figure out what it is, actually. Dark means simply unknown. And then this other 75%, this is dark energy. We don't know. We just really don't know, but we can feel some of its forces and effects. So it's safe to say we don't know 96% of the universe. And scientists are claiming like they know it all. They don't. They know a lot about a very narrow bandwidth of the spectrum. We haven't developed yet the instruments to look outside of that. But none of this is supernatural. Okay? That's the point I was trying to make with that. So, let's talk about types of energy. Good energy versus bad energy, right? We all want a little bit more of this. We've all been kind of nervous about this, 5G. So, 5G, first of all, the good news. It is non-ionizing radiation, okay? The kind of radiation that makes your skin burn and makes you impotent, all of this kind of stuff, that's ionizing radiation. This is not that kind. But it is in the spectrum, here's the bad news, of the microwaves. Microwaves, a lot of conflicting research. Is it good for you, bad for you? We know that people whose diet is primarily all microwave food, and particularly when they feed it to their children, those children grow up with suppressed immune systems. So we do know that microwaves have an effect on the immune system. You know, if you have to warm up a meal here and there once in a while, it's okay, but not if it's an ongoing and major part of your diet. But it's not because of the radiation. It's because of how microwaves affect water molecules. You know how they tell you, like, careful, your plate is hot at a restaurant? That's probably because the plate just came out of a microwave. Different materials warm up at different rates. Microwaves work by scrambling the water molecules, and that scrambling creates heat. That's the principle by which they work. Scramble the water molecules, make them rub up against each other, the friction of which creates heat. That's why the moist part will always heat up faster than the dry part. You're 70% water. So it's not ionizing radiation. People have the argument wrong, but it is microwave radiation. Yeah. We don't know exactly how it affects us. We don't have the in-depth studies, but we do know it can suppress the immune system. That much we know. If that were the only danger to you from the bad energy spectrum, and this is the thing, like, I hear a lot of people arguing about 5G, and they're putting up another tower, and it's all part of a big plot to kill us and destroy us. And my response is, and how close is your phone to your head while you're screaming this at me? You know, don't worry about the tower outside your house until you've taken care of this thing. This thing is within your control. We can't always control that, though. You know, there's lobbying groups, they're making steps, they're certainly pushing through the research to get some concrete facts and not take the telco's word for it, because they've been wrong every other time. But look at this thing, okay, that's always in your hand. How many of you put it on airplane mode when you sleep? Okay, we have a few informed folks. Good, good. The rest of you, please, please, please consider starting to do that. At least while you're sleeping. At least while your brain and your nervous system is working on rejuvenating itself. Turn that off.
I don't even sleep with my phone.
Awesome. Good for you. A lot of people will use it for music or for alarm or any number of things. Yeah, if you can leave it outside your bedroom, even better. Buy yourself an old-fashioned, like, you know, alarm clock. I like mine for the alarm just because I have one of those smart alarms that, like, starts out quiet when your breathing pattern changes and gradually brings you out of sleep instead of shaking you first thing in the morning. But airplane mode, you guys. And inevitably, some people's hands will go up, but I'm a parent. My kids need to reach me if they're not home. Okay, then do the pull down and turn off everything but the cellular service. You don't need Wi-Fi for them to reach you. You don't need Bluetooth for them to reach you. You certainly don't need your GPS on for them to reach you. Okay? If you absolutely have to, somebody's late coming home and you're worried about them, at least turn off 3 of the 4 transmitters. Okay? But airplane mode, I highly, highly recommend it. Cannot stress that enough. Another tip, don't be using your phone at least 30 minutes before you go to sleep. And I know that's hard because we all love to scroll TikTok and Instagram as we're falling asleep. That half an hour costs you 4 of your 8 hours of sleep. Because you simply, during that night, will not reach a deep enough state for all detoxing and rejuvenation to fully complete. Put the phone down at least 30 minutes before you go to sleep. And here's why. Okay. First of all, the light tends on the blue and white spectrum. That's really bad for the eyes. Now, they have software that ambers it up. A lot of people have the blue light screen protectors, so that is helping. But what it's not helping against is the other reason they're bad for you. Well, radiation, blue light, they're strobe lights. You know when they went from 60 hertz to 120 hertz so the video games look even better and smoother, and now they're coming out with 240 hertz? That's 4 times more that the strobe light's gonna flash in your eyes every second. You don't see it with your eyes. It's too fast for you to see. But film your friend's phone in slow motion mode. Film the screen and have a look. Or you really want to have fun, and this brings us to the third danger, the lighting in your house. Often overlooked. Do the same Experiment, right? This is science, we do experiments. Put your phone in slow motion mode at night and go around your house and film all of your lighting fixtures in slow motion. And then have a look at what you're looking at all night long. And we wonder why we don't sleep. We wonder why we're stressed out during the day. We wonder why we feel, groggy. And see, notice I'm not selling you some big expensive vitamin regimen or device. This is simple stuff. It's free and it's simple to implement. Put your phones in airplane mode. Don't use them for half an hour before you go to sleep. Really, really simple stuff to implement. You want a third thing that'll completely transform your life? When you wake up in the morning, don't reach for the phone first thing. We're very tempting. What happened while I was away, while I was sleeping, right? Don't do that. Spend those first 3 to 5 minutes just laying there and being. You anyway waste enough time in the morning, you won't even miss it. If it really makes you feel better, set your alarm 10 minutes ahead. You won't miss that either, I promise. But that groggy feeling that we all try to shake off as quickly as we can, to mystics, psychics, and magicians, this is like magic time. We try to spend as much time as possible in that state, in between worlds. So make use of it instead of trying to shake it off, and just lay there and meditate. Nothing specific you have to do. I'll teach you my favorite meditation technique in a little bit here, but you don't even have to do that. Just lay and be. Just connect with yourself. Breathe with yourself. Okay? No, you don't have to your phone to find your favorite playlist on YouTube. If you have an Alexa speaker or something, or a Google thing, okay, have it play something, but you don't need it. Literally, just lay and be 3 to 5 minutes every morning. And then turn your phone on and let all the notifications, the news, requests, questions, all of that stuff start coming in. Try it, and you'll see your whole day goes different. Try it for a week straight, your whole month will go different. Just those 3 little things. So lighting. I know that compact fluorescents are cheaper and they're supposedly better for the earth. I debate that. The compact fluorescents, for anybody that doesn't know, this is like your standard bulb, known as a filament light or an incandescent light, because it's got the wire inside, it heats up, and that's what makes light. These are compact fluorescents. These are the same lights that Walmart has, that your school had, hospitals have. This is the main reason kids can't concentrate in school. They're normally big, long tubes, but what they did was they wrapped it up into a bulb shape. I don't recommend it. They say better for the environment. I debate it. They're certainly a little cheaper. They're filled with mercury. They don't get as hot as these bulbs, but they don't stay as cool as the LEDs. There is some heat generated. Does anybody else think it's a good idea to be like heating up mercury and then breathing the vapors? Yeah, me neither. So normally, I'm totally green. Anything that's good for the environment, sign me up. I'm on board. But these guys, no go. These are even better for the environment. There's no toxic gas inside. They're even cheaper on your wallet over the long term. But these are absolutely the worst. These are the LED bulbs for your eyes and your nervous system. We now know that 10 years of exposure to these creates an increased occurrence of macular degeneration. And this is that blue-white light again at that end of the spectrum. Second of all, as you'll find out when you film yours in slow motion, it's a strobe light. Think of how our nervous system evolved. If you're seeing, and this is why this kicks in the fight or flight response, okay? If you're seeing a bright white light flashing at you, it's probably the sun going through trees as you're running for your life from a tiger, right? Your nervous system thinks fight or flight when light is flashing at it like that. Danger, need to be alert. If you can find these lights, replace all the lighting in your house. But I know that's asking a lot. These lights don't get hot. You can put some fabric over your lighting fixture, okay? You can't stop the strobe effect. And nowadays you can buy them in amber colors too. Every new one you buy, if LED is your only choice, at least tend towards the ambers. They're much better than the white and the blue. Amber, it's still flashing, but you know what your nervous system is getting from that? Campfire, sitting down with the tribe, sharing a meal, sharing stories. It's still strobing, but it's programming you for evening, nighttime, camaraderie, community, beds coming soon. You see? But we go from the stark white lights of our kitchen to the flashing screens of our phone, and then we wonder why we don't sleep, why we have no energy during the day, why we're in a bad mood, everybody pisses us off, right? And this is more important than you know, by the way, as we'll get to. It's not just for your benefit and well-being that I'm talking about this, as much as I deeply care about all of you and love you, okay? It has an effect on everybody around you in the outside world as well, okay? And probably the number one source of negative energy, our own stress, okay? Our own stress. Like I mentioned, you guys know all of that law of attraction stuff, right? You put out the vibration of what you want and you attract it to you. It's the vibration of, okay? It's not merely visualizing. It's not merely writing it down. The purpose of the words and the visualization is to make you feel something, okay? When you feel, yeah, you attract like frequencies. But guess what happens when you feel negative emotions? That also gets sent out into the world. You're always transmitting, okay? So one of the things I'd like to put forth is it's time we became a little more conscious of what we're transmitting. In ancient India, if you went outside before meditating, it would be like somebody who hasn't showered for a few weeks. Somebody walks by you, you smell them, you're like, ooh, and you kind of put your distance to them. Same thing. It used to be a social faux pas for people to go out without meditating first. People are like, I don't want to feel your negative vibes. I don't want to feel your mood from whatever argument you had with the family before you left. It was just, no, you got to clear, then you go out in public. It was as essential as brushing your teeth and basic hygiene. We've kind of forgotten that stuff. I was just chatting with an Indian lady at my booth before coming here, and I was talking about, I teach a lot of classes about Tantra in India. And I said, you know how weird that is for me? Like your country gave us India, or your country gave us Tantra. And now I'm teaching Indians about what you gave to us. It's like forgotten over there. Nobody knows a thing about it. It's really weird. But these things matter. They matter more than we know. So a few things about stress. The top 10 list of causes of death people die from most often, all 10 of them, and I include COVID in this because that's upset the list a little bit, but COVID, stress impacts your immune system, so I will argue that stress has a factor to play in whether you die from or recover from COVID too. I think we could still boil that down to stress. So let's just say 10 out of 10, but if that doesn't feel right, we can say 9 out of 10. But that's just because the list changed this year. But 10 out of 10 of the leading causes of death all relate to stress. Think about it, strokes, heart attacks, car accidents, smoking, right? There's not a single thing on that list that doesn't in some way relate to our stress. I'd say we need to take a look at that. If we're talking about ways of dealing with negative energy and just increasing our chances of surviving and living a happy, healthy, disease-free life, we shouldn't discount the stress. We're always looking for expensive solutions, right? Everything I've been talking about is simple. Color the lighting or get regular bulbs. I like salt lamps. Like in my house, it's all salt lamps because those little bulbs that go inside those, you can still find the old-fashioned bulbs everywhere. And it's dim, but I like it. It's nice and dim and it's a warm glow everywhere. I have them in all my corners. If I need to see something, I'll flip on the light, do whatever I need to do and then turn it back off. But it's like the sun's gone down, I want the amber glow. Now I'm extreme, but you can at least do fabric, you can do colored lighting. The smart lights, you can dial them these days. Okay, simple and free things. Okay, the mechanics of stress and why it's so important. When you are stressed out, your body makes a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol dissolves DHEA, one of the main building blocks for many of your hormones, including testosterone and estrogen. Your testosterone count and your estrogen levels, ladies, are one of the main ways we measure aging. The length of the telomeres is the other one. But that's literally a biochemical marker of aging. Every time you're stressed, you're releasing cortisol that is dissolving your estrogen, dissolving your testosterone, and it's dissolving DHEA, which your body used to replenish your testosterone. and your estrogen. It's a basic building block for both. Cortisol, I mean, it's not a bad guy. It has an evolutionary purpose. If you're running from those tigers in that jungle, you need a little momentary shot of strength. Yeah, it's important. You're supposed to have cortisol in your body for a couple minutes at a time, once or twice a year. You're not supposed to have it in your body all the time because you're stressed out about life, stressed out about work, stressed out about family, fighting back the road rage on the way to and from work, right? We live in stress all the time. And then you get home and you hold that strobe light in your face and you're surrounded by strobe lights and you never let your brain sleep and recharge. Do you start to see the picture? We can complain about the 5G towers, okay? But short of going and like trying to saw them down, which I don't recommend, like we can't do much about them. But look at all this other stuff that's totally within our control. And we're ignoring all that. I wish we could stop the 5G towers, but I'm pretty sure our body is going to be more resilient to them if we at least take these basic steps that are totally free and totally within our control. So, let's take a meditation break from all that stress. What do you say? I'm going to play a little music to help us along. Yeah. Ooh, magic, huh? Okay. So, I normally do this eyes open. You don't have to, however you're comfortable, eyes open or eyes closed. You're allowed to blink. The reason I do eyes open is so you don't daydream and drift off, okay? Which is a useful mental exercise also, but this is different. Eyes open, you're present. You're here in the room. I'm not going to look at anybody in particular. I'm just looking to the doors in the back of the room, so don't feel self-conscious. What I'd like you to do is rest your left eye on my left eye. We use the left eye because it engages the right side of the brain. That's the more intuitive side, the more feeling side. We don't have to explain everything. But don't worry, you're not staring. It's just like when you meditate with a candle or a mandala or a picture. It's just so you know what direction to look, so you're not wandering all over the place. And just gradually take your vision and start to widen it from there, taking in more and more and more of the peripheral room. And again, you're allowed to blink. You're allowed to close your eyes. Whatever feels right. I'll do the meditating for us. You just relax and enjoy the experience for a couple minutes. The only other thing I'll invite you to do, because people often forget when they're concentrating, don't forget to breathe. So take a deep breath in. Just like we did at the start, follow it down your spine, fill yourself up, and back out. You remember how to do these. We did 6 of them together. So just keep breathing, keep moving that breath and that energy. And let's just be in the space together for 2 minutes. Good. Take a deep breath in, bring your awareness back into your body. Breathe out. Whenever you're ready, open your eyes. if you had them closed. How was that? Did you feel something?
Good.
Yeah? Did you feel something? Did you feel something?
Very calm.
Pretty good for like 2-3 minutes. I mean, we could go longer. In my workshops, we go much longer and much deeper, but just for 2 minutes, I mean, that's... How was I able to do that? Just drop us in, no guided meditation, no fancy technique. Just let's drop straight in. Okay. It's a principle known as harmonic resonance. Okay? I don't have to teach you how to meditate. That takes a long time. It takes monks decades in a monastery. Okay? There's a better way. I don't focus on teaching you how to meditate. I meditate because I already know how. I can get there pretty quickly. And once I'm there, I just radiate it out. Whether you feel it consciously or not, your body feels it and it knows what to do. Much faster way of getting there. So the principle of harmonic resonance is basically this. Musicians might be familiar with this. If you're recording a stringed instrument like a violin or a guitar, if there's other stringed instruments present in the room, you have to tape down their strings. Because if you pluck an A string on an instrument, every other A string in the room starts to vibrate without ever being touched. Like frequencies resonate like frequencies. It's a basic acoustic principle. Meditation is a frequency. I shift my frequency, I let you feel it. Whether you feel it or not, whether you've had the training or not to consciously know what to do with it, your subconscious knows exactly what to do with it. Because that meditative state, that dream state that we crawl out of in the morning, that's actually the natural state. That's what the mystics and the monks figured out thousands of years ago. This is the illusion, the distraction. That's actually the natural state. We're trying to have our coffee and wake up. They're all trying to get back there and spend as much time there as possible, but consciously, not unconsciously. That's what every mystic is trying to do, is to access the dream state, but consciously. Okay? But that's the principle. It's a scientific principle. This isn't mysticism. This isn't voodoo. That's how I can take a whole crowd of people, and I've done this at a stadium with 5,000, and I can just drop them right there. As I mentioned, it's not me. Now, I've practiced this art, and I've perfected it for a long time, about 25 years, but we're all doing it to some degree. I'm just able to do it stronger and more intentionally. But we're all doing it. We're always transmitting. And we're always affecting the people around us. You've all had it. Somebody walks by you, right? You either pick up a really good vibe, like, who's that? I want to know them. Or you're like, that person, I don't know about that, right? We've all felt that. That's because we're all giving something off. And whether you call yourself a psychic or not, whether you call yourself an empath or not, we all feel it on some level, just not always consciously. But we're all feeling it, okay? That's really the only difference. I'm not telling you anything new. I'm just talking about taking what's already unconscious and becoming conscious of it, really. So, let's put some hard scientific data behind this. Scientists, because we do have some. Scientists started paying attention to this stuff seriously after September 11th. And it's kind of appropriate that we're having this conversation right after the 20th anniversary of that tragic event. At that time, Yale University was carrying out an experiment trying to create the world's perfect random number generator. You see, it's kind of a problem for scientists, believe it or not, just generating random numbers. It seems like a trivial thing, but in order to make a machine process something and execute some commands, you have to give it instructions on how to do that. If you're instructing the machine how to do that, is the number truly random? So scientists keep coming up with more and more and more clever ways to give instructions without giving instructions and without influencing the result. They want a perfectly random machine. That's the idea. And they're like, universities have competitions trying to outdo each other with whose randomness can be more random. Such an experiment was being carried out. So this is above the line, below the line. Are there more ones or more zeros? Because theoretically, if it's perfectly random, it should be an even amount, ones and zeros. The first crash, right, just before 9 a.m. The second crash, just after 9 a.m. It's not quite 50-50, but it's still pretty random. The Pentagon, the first collapse. Nobody's ever seen a real building collapse outside of like an action movie on their screens. Look at how much that spiked away from normal deviation of 50-50. This is a machine generating random numbers. It's not aware of what's happening on TV. It's not aware what millions of people are watching on TV as their emotional state changes. It's just a computer generating random numbers in a different part of the country. But it starts reacting. Look at that. The second tower collapses. Look at that. Look at how far we deviated from statistical deviation for average. This is a random number generator. It should theoretically have zero effect at all. Since then, scientists have been paying a lot of attention to this. On 11/11/10, I don't know why they were impatient and didn't wait for 11/11/11, but there was one of the first big organized mass meditations. You know, the internet's becoming more popular, people are connecting online, and there was this idea like, what if we all pray for peace and meditate together at the same time? Okay, and they gathered quite a few people for it. But it was a very similar curve. As more and more people started meditating together, you saw the same increase in the random number generator. So whether it's people watching in horror as buildings are falling down, or whether it's people meditating blissfully together thinking of peace, that random number generator started reacting. Our emotions do affect the world around us, okay? Climate change, you know, whether you believe that it's man-made or a natural cycle, there's no denying our climate change is intensifying. Weather's becoming more erratic. Hurricanes are getting stronger and more common. I don't think anybody's going to win that argument, frankly, because it's both. There is a man-made contribution and there's a natural cycle, which is why it's twice as bad. And we should stop arguing about the cause and like focus more on how to fix it while we're still here. Does anybody else think that's a good idea? Yeah. Who cares the cause? Let's fix it. I think our mental state is contributing to it too. We just had an earthquake in Australia. First time ever in recorded history. And it wasn't a little tremor, it was a 6.0. You don't think our mental states have something to do with that? Scientists are increasingly starting to suspect it might. They have 17 sensors now all over the world, constantly measuring this kind of stuff. Minute changes in air pressure, air temperature, things like that, and they're always coordinating it to world events and what's dominating the media and things like that. And the more they study it, the more and more correlations they find. There was a famous study in the 80s in Lebanon into something known as the Maharishi effect. This isn't something new. Anybody know what was happening in the 80s in Lebanon? Civil war. Yeah, very atrocious civil war. They brought in a group of meditators, unbeknownst to the public, into an undisclosed location. And they just had them sitting for a couple hours a day, just focusing on the feeling of peace. Nothing else. The feeling of peace. They didn't tell anyone this was going on. The fatality rates in that war dropped by 70% during the weeks that that experiment was being carried out. When they stopped the experiment, unfortunately, the fatalities came right back up, but interestingly, not as high as they were before. There was a permanent effect even after they were done. But while they were doing it, there was an undeniable effect. This experiment was repeated in Yugoslavia in the 90s. This experiment was repeated in Liverpool in a really, really bad gang neighborhood. And it was repeated in Washington, D.C. That's the study that I have access to the data on. And look at the same thing. Okay, this is the number of weeks they're getting together. They're getting together on a regular basis, okay, once a week to meditate. As they keep meditating, this is the rate of violent crime. Okay, murders, rapes, things like that. And assaults. Murders, rapes, and assaults. Really, really violent crime. As the weeks went on, you see a decline in the crime rate of the city. As they added more and more meditators participating in the group, and notice it didn't take that many, they started with 500. As they added more meditators, the steepness increases. You see, it didn't start out dropping by a lot. It was a pretty linear thing. So the amount of people meditating accelerates the process, basically. The longer they do it, the more effect it has, but the more of them doing it accelerates it. Both are a factor. But this has been done again and again and again and again. At this point, it's science, it's not speculation, and it's certainly not mysticism. People deliberately changing their mindset has an effect on wars, on climate, on earthquakes, everything. Okay? There's a double slit experiment in the 1920s. They even found out individual photons of light behave differently depending on whether we're watching them or not. Yes, you heard that right. Light behaves differently when it knows it's being watched. And even when it's not a human being doing it, when it's an electrosensor, just the idea that a human being will review it later and expect certain results affects how the light behaves. Yeah, it's a fascinating universe out there. We're just scratching the surface on this stuff. But there's no denying it's real. The other thing that gives me hope, though, we have to get into these guys a little bit. Anybody know about the 100th monkey effect? You know a little bit? Yeah. A lot of people don't. So the 100th monkey effect is a very interesting thing that scientists in Japan noticed. They were carrying out research on a particular group of monkeys on one of the islands away from the mainland. And it's not literally 100 monkeys, that's just the saying, but basically the idea is when enough monkeys learn a skill, the entire species suddenly knows that new skill without ever being taught it. And in this case, they taught them to wash their sweet potatoes in the river because they're full of dirt and grit and yucky stuff. And you know, this comes natural to us humans, but monkeys didn't do it in the wild. And if you wash your food before you eat it, it tastes better and there's less germs on it. So they taught one monkey. You know, other monkeys watched her doing it. More monkeys started doing it. More monkeys started doing it. More monkeys started doing it. Suddenly the scientists noticed something peculiar. Monkeys on other islands were doing it, who never had contact with these monkeys. Monkeys on the mainland started doing it. And the scientists were perplexed, like, we didn't teach them this. And they couldn't have observed. But somehow they're starting to do it. We know that when babies are born, if they're playing and they're giggling and blah, 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 shine a red light in the room. They stop. And they look around. Change the light to green, they go back to playing. Is anybody teaching your babies to drive? Yeah. But somehow they know that red means stop, alert. Green means go. There's something to this effect, okay? We don't have to wake up everybody in the world. This has been measured. We know exactly the percentage, okay? It's 1/10 of 1%. So population of 7 billion. If we can get about 700 million people meditating together, theoretically the entire species should wake up simultaneously. Deepak's already drawing about 40 million at his last one. Deepak Chopra. I mean, this could happen within our lifetime, and as more people get into it, you know, more and more show up each time. He was at 10 million like a year or two ago, and now he's at 40 million. Like, this could happen within our lifetime. It's not an unreachable goal to use this 100th monkey effect to our advantage, to just like speed this evolutionary process up a little bit, or at the very minimum, stop doing harm to each other. Okay? And there's a little guy washing his sweet potato. Yeah, so that's where it comes from. Since we started with Tesla, I want to end with Tesla. He has another quote that I'm very fond of. The day science begins to study the non-physical phenomenon, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all of the previous centuries of its existence. I believe he's right. It's not that this stuff is weird or fringe or supernatural, it's simply not studied enough. It's simply not practiced enough. I'd like to end with a quote from Gandhi, one of my favorite quotes. Be the change you wish to see in the world. Be the change, be the change. I always thought that meant be a good role model. Do good things that other people will be inspired by and emulate. And that's certainly a part of it, of course. We all want to help and do our part, make the world a better place. But Gandhi didn't say do the change. Doing the change, being busy all the time. And I wondered a lot about this because when I kept looking it up, the B is always capitalized. The B and the E, the entire word B is always capitalized. And I'm wondering, is that a typo? Is that, no, be, the universe was trying to get my attention. Be the change. Your very being is how we make the change, okay? Your internal state affects the outside world. That's what we gotta be aware of. We can certainly use it to our advantage, law of attraction, manifestation, all of that. But I think we need to own up and also realize that it's a responsibility. Okay? Be the change. Always be conscious of how you're being. And that's basically what I do at Tantric Awakening. You guys notice the two signs are the same. They list the same benefits. They're mirror images of each other. When I put meditation at the top, people are more open to approaching me. It scares them less. Tantra tends to intimidate them a little bit. These things are all interrelated. Energy, tantra, meditation, magic, prana, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same stuff. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It simply changes form. It's all one stuff, okay? It's just different approaches to talking about the same stuff. I like to say that meditation will make you sensitive. It'll awaken your senses. You'll start to sense things more. You'll start to be aware of more. You'll start to feel things more. Once you're aware that energy is real, Tantra is like, well, what can we do with this? It's the application, okay? And everybody thinks of sex when you say Tantra, particularly here in the West. And that's true. An understanding and ability to work with energy will absolutely make your sex life better. No doubt about it. A lot of people who come to me have sexual issues, and they're pretty easy to fix once you make them aware of energy, okay? But that's that much of Tantra. There's all of this other stuff that you can do with it and apply it to, outside the bedroom too. And it's interesting, I've recently been reading on Clubhouse, we went back to the basics, the original 112 sutras or exercises that are thought to be the origins of Tantra. I decided, why not read the classics and read them on Clubhouse so we can have a conversation about it. Of those 112, just some basic numbers for you, 6 of them are sexual in nature. Just 6 of 112. Yet everybody thinks Tantra is all about sex. By comparison, there's 9 of them that deal with breathing. They spend more time on breathing than sex. But everybody, when they see me, they're like, Andrei, the sex guy. Nobody says Andrei, the meditation guy. Nobody says Andrei, the breathing guy. It's always Andrei, the sex guy. But that's okay. That's okay. Sex sells. I'm good with it. We can start the conversation there. But I can make you aware of so much more of what your body can do. Also, you know, let's not forget the other 95%. So if you want to scan this with your phone, I didn't bring flyers, I didn't bring business cards. We always spend most of Sunday night like cleaning them up off the floor. Okay, digital business card. Just scan that, let me know where to send it, I'll send you one. There's a big unsubscribe button at the bottom. You can press it, never hear from me again, but I'll send you my info, a link to the Clubhouse, all the upcoming conversations, all that stuff. That's the best way. Paper card, what are you going to do? You're going to be sitting there looking and typing. You know, this way, copy paste if anything feels relevant, okay? So that's the best way to get in touch, or you can go to tantricawakening.net/expo. And yeah, join me in this fun, exciting, curious pursuit of energy and where it can take us. Thank you so much. And I'll be outside if anybody has any questions.